Hello and welcome to Boomer 11, and it's just day two of IPL drama. It was just yesterday where we saw an almost unwinnable game turn on its head, and today we saw this game turn on its head multiple times. It took tumbles, never really knowing who's going to win till the last over, last ball, and all it took was one fumble by Dinesh Karthik. Unfortunate, really, lot to discuss, a lot to talk about because RCB did have a very good game. You would have to say till that seventh, eighth over because that's when the game really started to take a turn. And I have with me Evil. Another thing, another day in the pages of Chinnaswamy's history. It's the highest ever run chase. There was some batting, wasn't it today? It was just almost as if there was no difference between ballers and bowling machines.
I mean, yes. Firstly, I don't know. I mean, I'm just getting a grip of what just happened. Crazy game of cricket. Something which I've seen before. It felt like deja vu for me. I mean, if it has to come from an RCB fan, it has happened multiple times, right? Felt like Russell was taking us over in 2019. It was something of very similar thought. Kind of remember a lot of these kind of innings that has happened a lot of times, right? Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So it was like a deja vu,
Yeah,
but I'll tell you one thing. It is a sad day because when it comes to especially in that kind of a knock when you play, but that's Swami as well. Once you get due there, it's extremely hard for bowlers to really keep going, and it's going to be really difficult as well. And for me, I personally thought one thing maybe Arsenal could have done better is maybe ball the middle over as well, and that's primarily because you don't have a Hasaranga at this point. And this is something
yeah,
which you expected as well. When you don't have a Hasaranga who picked up 30 wickets 29 wickets last time, and when you don't have someone like him in this middle overs, you saw cumulatively Karan Sharma, Harshal Patel, and Shahbaz Ahmed went for close to 120 runs, and the rest of the bowlers went for less than 90. So that was the difference, right? When these three went for 120 runs in 6 or 7 overs, 8 overs, they went for 120 runs, and that was the ultimate difference in the game because your fast
yeah.
bowlers went for 90 runs in 12 overs, which you can still take. But in a ground like this, you needed an attacking spinner in the middle overs. And especially against Puran, he has struggled against Chehal also before when you have a good googly. And one thing which Karan Sharma did not have is a good googly. And he kept bowling in his slot. And today I have to say was one spectacular innings, man. I've seen that before. I've seen Chris Gale do something like that before. And that is something crazy because you have to say that those kind of innings happen once in a while, and it happened. And this was ideal ground for him as well. He has had a good record in Chinnaswamy previously as well. In 2019 as well, he scored good amount of runs in Chinnaswamy. Whenever he has visited Chinnaswamy, he's had a good success. So as a left-hander, when the ball comes onto your bat, with that the ball just flies. I think Jaital is better than DK. That's one question. I don't think so. You can blame
Yeah,
DK,
I
which is
think I really won't blame DK here for many reasons, right? Obviously, what he did was an error, that's for sure.
yeah.
But you have to also realize he came in 10 meters from where he was standing. He was keeping against a fast bowler, and I think it can happen. It really can happen. DK has done a decent job for you. I know he's not the world's greatest keeper, but at that point in time, I won't be surprised. A 9 out of 10 keepers might just fumble. The 10th
It's
keeper,
very hard.
obviously,
It's
I
really
missed
hard. I
him.
mean, it's just one of those things. Firstly, it
Yeah,
shouldn't have come down to 1-1. It should
correct.
have been closed early, or it might not even have come to 1-1 if not for that hit wicket as well. So it could have gone either way. But ultimately, I'll say you. I mean, imagine a run out would have happened on the non-strikers end. Anything would have happened. This was
Hmm.
one of those kind of games. I mean, you
Oh,
take
if the
it.
run out had happened in the non-strikers end, Gautam Gambhir, I heard, was very excited to be sharing his insight with the RCB
I mean, I
dugout.
really don't care about what Gautam Gambhir thinks, to be very honest. His cricket opinion is as much as what he said. Nobody should care about people who wants fame. That's it.
Uh, anyway, but let's talk. Let's break the match down. I have Sandipani with me, very jubilant and happy Sandipani. Uh, Sandipani, let's start with RCB's batting, right? I mean, everything went right for them. Virat Kohli, an absolute superstar, once again showing the same level of same shot, repeating the same shot again today. But he would still reckon he batted with a little less strike rate than what you would want him to, because he did not real. He had a very good day out there. He scored 61 of 44. You would say that's great, but The fact that they lost no wickets, and in the middle overs they were scoring at 9 runs per over. That's something you feel where they lacked. They really lost that 20 runs, especially against the spinners. Now that's one thing we've known for so long. Virat Kohli against the spinners in the middle overs of a T20 match really does struggle, and that's something very odd because even in one-day cricket, it seems like he knows how to attack spinners. It's just that he brings the same game to T20 cricket as well. Sandeep, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think to start off with, I think they had a lovely start, and with Fab du Plessis and Kohli in the form that they are in at Chinnaswamy, they are always going to get RCB off to a great start. It was always uh, going to be advantage for the team who was going to bat second at RCB at Chinnaswamy. The
Yeah.
record says so. You know that once you know what the target is, you can go about it knowing exactly how much risk you have to take. So setting up a total is always a challenge, and I won't blame Kohli for not being able to accelerate at that point. But yeah, his concern, his lack of striking abilities once the power play is over against the spinners, it will slowly hurt
Because
RCB.
I'll tell you also the reason why I think that's Sandivani. If you look at Lucknow spinners, right? Krunal and Ravi Bishnoi and Amit Mishra. Amit Mishra, I will kind of discount him because he did only ball 2 overs. He got a wicket, yes. But let's look at Krunal and Ravi Bishnoi. They were very good ballers, by the way. But they've gone under 10 runs per over. And if you look at the spinners of RCB, they've really struggled. Both Karan
I mean,
Sharma and
I
Shahbaz.
think Rashid has a
It's
point over
also,
here because I
yeah.
also think that was the case because the ball was gripping quite a lot in the first 10 overs. I mean, I saw that happen, but that did not happen throughout the game after 11 overs as well. And the
No,
FAF
I
also
think
did indicate on
if you
that.
guys remember, I think there was this one delivery that Karan Sharma balled to Nicholas. No, no, not
Yes,
Nicholas
it
Puri.
did.
Nicholas
It
Point.
did. But then the fact is that I think that stickiness of the wicket was gone once the dew came in, and it was much easier. You saw Faf also struggle a lot. Faf wasn't getting anything away. He was what,
Hmm.
33 of 32 balls. Then he took that shift. So I don't think you can blame anyone in the opening partnership, and they balled really well as well. It was tough to get the ball away, and Krunal balled tight lines. The ball was not really coming onto the bat. I thought what RCB really missed the trick is where they should have done in the. I mean, 2-12. I would have taken any day. Means you are telling about 212, right? You can't say you're a
Hmm.
10 run shot, you're a 5
Of
run shot.
course.
I mean, in
Yeah.
that case, you can say you're a 50 run shot. But 260 is a safe total in Chinnaswamy. I mean, that's the way you can look at things. I think 212, you should be able to defend it. What I personally felt was how you would have used your middle overs. Would you have tried someone like a Maxwell ahead of someone like a Karan Sharma there? I mean, those are things which you could have possibly tried in because you're talking about Nicholas Pooran, whose arc is from your mid on to long to your square leg and close to fine leg. That is his arc. He
Hmm.
plays one over covers. He plays rarely through covers as well. So that's why RCB should have been much more smart, especially Harshal Patel as well. His game, especially against fast bowlers, is not very good on the offside. We have seen that previously. I remember in a game in Dubai where Karthik Tyagi tying him up completely. It was three needed of four balls or five balls. He just kept balling the wide Yorkers and Nicholas Pooran had no answer to it. So that is something which you could have tried. These are you should have gone defensive bowling earlier on. That those are factors over here. It is not the batting. I don't think batting needs to be considered when you've scored 212. I think that is unfair then on batters at large.
Fairly point taken, Evil. But I think that's what Rashid is also putting up in the comment where he says that it was indeed tough to bat in the first 11 overs. But I still believe, not this is not to say anything else, but I just believe when you've lost that many, only you've lost only 2 wickets. I still believe you could have, really done a little bit more aggressive. I mean, showed a little bit more aggression. But that's I think even then you have to say that 212 was a very good target. After all, it did require the highest chase ever in the history of Chinnaswamy. So it's not like just because it was Chinnaswamy it can be done. It did take some. I mean, it did take some doing as well. So I will give some credence to that point. Ronnie Datta also says 10 runs short, and he gives the full credit to Wayne Parnell and Dinesh Karthik. Sadhivani, what do you reckon? In this case, let's look at, we've already talked about Dinesh Karthik. Let's look at Wayne Parnell. Do you reckon he's someone who did not do enough? Because I still believe he took 3 wickets, he gave runs away 10.2 in a match where the required run rate was 11 and above. I think 10.5 and above. I think he's done a decent job. You're getting 3 wickets, you're bowling just below the required run rate. I wouldn't really blame him as much as I would blame someone like Harshal Patel. He bowled a very good last over, but who cannot bowl to two tail enders? I believe he really balled to, as Abel mentioned, to at the stumps, right? To the likes of Nicholas Purin, you cannot keep the ball in his arc. He's someone who loves playing off his legs, and a lot of the deliveries that he balled was at the body of Nicholas Purin. It's almost like we had gone back along, I mean, 50 years back, or rather 60, 70 years back, and we were following the body line theory.
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult once the dew set in as well. But having said that, I won't blame Wayne Parnell. I won't blame Dinesh Karthik as well, because the game shouldn't have gone to that stage after they lost three early wickets. You
Yeah,
have to realize that
exactly.
Lucknow Super Giants were some 40 for 3 at the end of 6 overs, or 6.7, 6.5, 6.34 overs. Deepak Huda did not get a go in. KL Rahul could not really convert, could not really come back to form
Right.
even at Chinnaswamy. So you did not have, you had to depend on the likes of Marcus Stoinis, who was one can say out of form before this game, who came in and struck that 65 of 30 deliveries to sort of set a total. But still, LSG was way behind the ball game, even when Marcus Stoinis got out. And
Yeah.
then KL Rahul
Mhm.
as well followed suit as well. So it was only because of that knock of 62 of 19 deliveries from Nicholas Puran, that magical knock of 62 of 19, that actually took the game away. So yeah, the blame, if anybody will have to take the blame solely, it has to be Harshal Patel, because 45 runs or 43 runs of the first 3 overs, or 44 runs of the first 3 overs. And also I think the fifth bowling option actually struggled. The impact substitute Karan Sharma, 48 of
Yeah.
3 overs, and Shahbaz Ahmed 15 of 1 overs.
Yeah.
That is something that is not. And also I totally agree. They could have probably brought in a Maxwell or a Mahipal Lumror as well, in times when
I
Nicholas
mean, for
Puran was going
me, I
berserk.
believe still that Michael Bracewell would have been a good weapon against the likes of Nicholas Puran, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the way Glenn Maxwell balls, right, he
But
still
when you're
likes to
talking
bounce.
about Michael Bracewell, you still have to drop one of
I
David
mean, I
Willey
Yeah,
don't
or
I
Wayne
mean,
think
I
in
Parnell.
today's
understand,
game any
and
spinner would have done any good as
it
well,
wouldn't have
because
been it wouldn't have been a genius move
what
as well.
what is what is Nicholas Puran's biggest defect? He does not like to play the ball, especially from a leg spinner, which goes away. And
Hmm.
today, if you look at it, Karan Sharma is again your interim player. He's not your starting 11 player, right? He
Yeah,
did come good in a couple of games. He did come good in first game. Second game, he did kind of come good. See, at one stage, he had to go for this man. That's why he's not your main player. And
true.
if you had a Hasaranga there, who has got tremendous googly, it's googly stuff to hit as well. Now, if you talk about Hasaranga, his release points are over here. So it's very tough to get underneath a Hasaranga's ball. Why is he being so successful? And grounds like this, you need a leg spinner who's extremely attacking, who will go for maybe 40 but can pick you 3 wickets at least. I don't care if Hazaranga or I don't, if for example Rashid Khan yesterday, he did go for close to 40, but he picked up those wickets. I mean, what happened in the end is yet again something which you can't control. So when you have
Yeah.
a Hazaranga, when you have a Rashid Khan, when you have this premier leg spinner, Chahal for example,
No, I
you
think
know that
Hasaranga did not play today solely because he landed in India today. So I think they
exactly.
just gave him a rest.
Yeah,
He'll
he
be back
landed
from the
just
next game
before
onwards.
1 hour before the game. You can't shift him in right there. So
Exactly.
it's hard to bring in someone like him. So
No, but
so you expect,
the reason
yeah,
I say Michael Bracewell, and I don't blame the RCB management in any way, because there was no way you could fit him in. You had to play a David Willey, you had to play a Wayne Parnell, because I still believe it was a tough pitch to really, get a spinner in. And but Michael Bracewell, I would still say wouldn't have been a bad choice, because yes, today he only lost 2 wickets, but he is someone who still bolsters your middle order to an extent. Because today, if you really think about it, if those 2 wickets had gone on, it would have been
But I
difficult.
think
Even
today they
Maxwell, the
had
reason
a
why I
backup.
say,
They had a Mahipal Lomrod. They had a Anuj
yeah, but
Rawat
I
who
mean,
did
the
not have
reason
any
why
impact.
you can't really bank on Mahipal Lomror as you can bank on Michael Bracewell, but I wouldn't blame them for dropping him. It's a fair choice. It's a 50-50 choice for me. But the reason I say Michael Bracewell as a spinner against Nicholas Purin is a good bet is because if you look at Glenn Maxwell, right? Even when he balls to left-handers, he is someone who loves the ball to he's not someone who turns the ball. So if it comes around the wicket, he will still get the ball to come back into the left hander. That's still balling to Nicholas Puran's arc. But someone like Michael Bracewell, you've seen him turn the ball, and I think on today's pitch, the way he does ball, he likes to give the ball a little bit of an air. He really rips the ball. For someone who's a part-time off spinner,
yeah.
he really does give the ball some rip. So I believe he could have done a little bit more damage than the likes of Glenn Maxwell. But that's not to say that RCB can be blamed to really not be picking him.
I mean, I don't know if if you look at the matchup as well, you could have tried him against Nicholas Puran, but it's very hard. Nicholas Puran enjoys facing off spinners. It's one area he has never really struggled. He always enjoyed playing off spinners, like Ashwin. He has gone
and
after
and
everyone.
also I think Nicholas Puran at this stage comes towards the death overs. The
Yeah,
way Lucknow Super Giants are using him, so it did
exactly,
not make any sense to have a Michael Bristol just for the Nicholas Puran effect.
exactly.
Also, you had the likes of Marcus Stoinis, who is a very good player of off spin as well.
Yeah, precisely. I'll agree.
What you could have
I'll agree with that.
possibly done
Now,
was maybe do a little bit of tinkering, use Harshal Patel's over a little more wisely. What I mean is, Harshal Patel should have balled him with a plan. That's something which I didn't see. I know once the
mm,
ball got dewy, see, as I mentioned, what's Harshal Patel's biggest weakness is the ball is not dipping properly. I think that one wicket in the end did give him a lot of confidence. The one he was,
yes,
I mean,
yes,
that's
yes.
baller's confidence again. He is a good bowler. There's no denying to that. I mean, everybody goes through these phases, and I think Harshal Patel needs
And
to
I
ball
think
with
it's
a plan.
also able. So the injury that he's got, and you might be able to tell me this better, but the injury he got was a side back strain. And
Yeah,
even as a spinner, right, it's not an easy place to be injured at, because when you're trying to spin the ball and you're trying to run your fingers through, and I'm
yeah,
talking about a spinner, it still puts some effect on your side, because you have to really you have to
yeah,
really coil your body and
yeah.
then really release it. Now, if you're a Harshal Patel who's coming in much faster, and this is a comment I saw a
Yeah, I did
comment,
read that. Yeah,
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 about
he's
a
a
fast
fast
running spinner.
option. I mean, that's
I,
been his strength as well, Jen.
yeah,
For
and I
for
won't
the
say that, but what I'm trying to say Abel, here is now, because he's trying to ball an off spinner, running in fast. I think that really does make it more challenging post his injury. And I think that's the reason why we're not seeing that dip anymore, because you
exactly,
really have to rip the ball to get that dip. Because
exactly.
basically, the dip is where there's. I'm so sorry, I'm giving physics lessons here, but the dip really comes because of the air resistance, and that really pushing the ball down due to that turn. And
Yeah,
that's
when
where
that is
he's
the case,
struggling
what
now.
happens is usually you have to slow down a little bit. What Arshal Patel used to do is to get that dip at 120. Now, in order to get that dip, maybe you have to come down to 190, which
Yes.
Dwayne Bravo
Yes.
used to have it. I mean, that's not a bad
Yeah.
ploy to have. I mean, that means you're not putting a lot of strain to get that dip, because when you're trying to ball
Mm.
quick and get that dip, it does not really happen. So, what
Yeah.
Dwayne Bravo also had similar injuries through his career. So, in order to get that dip towards the latter end of his career, what he started doing was to slow down that slower delivery to 100, 105.
Yeah. Yeah.
95. So that's one area which maybe Herschel can look into, and that's one thing which he did in the last over. The one which he got, Mark Wood, was it? Mark Wood.
Mark Wood.
Avesh Khan was around 98 to 108. So these are factors. I mean, if once maybe you figure it out as you learn as well. It's like figuring out on the job. So that's
Yeah.
something which you have to consider. And you're spot on in saying once you have this side back strain, it's extremely difficult to not just run in and ball, but to get your body in shape as well as a fast bowler, because you're
Correct.
running and trying to get the, because his action is almost side on. He's not a front
Yeah.
on bowler.
Yeah.
He gets his power from side on, and when you're trying to generate that, you will tend
And I
to
think
you will
that's
tend to
also
have
very
less
interesting now that
generation
you
on the
mention
ball
it.
as
If
well.
you look at even Dwayne Bravo, right, Abel, he was a very side-on bowler initially when he came in as a younger player. But I think as he became older now, if you look at his action now, he's a lot more front on. And I think that's probably something that Harshal Patel can look into.
Yeah,
Maybe if he comes to CSK, we make a better bowler
I
out
mean,
of
we'll
him.
take some questions. We have
I
quite a lot
think
of questions. I
Harshal
think
Patel. I think the biggest mistake that Harshal Patel did today was in that last ball, missed that run out. I think that was his simplest
yeah.
chance to get RCB the win. I mean, go
Yeah,
get
but I
into
think
a
when
super
the
over,
ball
that
reached
is.
him and he had to pick up and throw, it was way too late. And
No,
I
no,
mean
no.
I
You
think,
no,
you
no,
did
no,
not have to wait for a pick up and throw. I mean, if you
yeah,
are
he could
bowling
have
that
done
last
that. He was
delivery,
outside the
you
crease.
should have it in his mind that he's not going to deliver the delivery. So his focus should have been on the
hmm,
stumps
And
rather
not
than
just that,
bowling the
yeah,
delivery.
Harshal should have actually tried in the second last ball as well, because Bishnoi started running once again.
correct,
So that's
correct.
some. I mean, he missed it. I mean, anything could have happened, and he started running in the last ball even sooner than what it did in the previous ball. So
Hmm.
I mean, it could have
Yeah,
gone either way. It is
that's
one
a
of
fair
those days you
point.
just take it and go. When in Chinnaswamy, you get matches like this. You should be ready. One thing which I hated RCB was to coming back to Chinnaswamy. I love the crowd. I love everything else, but I just don't like the memories there, including the IPL final of
Isn't
2016.
it? I
I had
love
a
the
Sandeep
fact
can tell me better.
that some of the
Sandeep, here,
greatest
you as a
moments.
KKR fan, I've enjoyed a lot of success coming to Chinnaswamy. I mean,
Then
imagine,
that's my favorite part about Chinnaswamy. Some of the greatest IPL moments have happened in Chinnaswamy. Andre
and
Russell,
that too
MS
against
Dhoni,
RCB. Because one
Glenn
ground
Maxwell when
level
he used to
play.
play for Punjab. All of this has happened in Chinnaswamy. It's always been against RCB. It's never been
I just
for them.
don't like that. It's just
I
the thing is, when you're chasing, right? When you're chasing in Chinnaswamy,
Yeah.
there are two factors to it. Once the dew comes in, it is a horror show for ballers. There is no way. I mean, I'm talking about likes of Mitchell Stark. Some of the greatest ballers struggle there. I'm talking about Dale Steyn, right? Against
Dale
ABD
Hunt,
Williams.
Dale Steyn,
Dale Steyn
so
is
many.
prime.
Yeah.
Everybody has struggled. You can't blame RCB ballers because the greatest of ballers have come to Chennai and struggled. There is no denying that, even from the
Yeah.
opposition team. So, especially when RCB defends, I do not know what's a good score. As a fan, if I'm watching, I'm like, is 240 good enough today? Because I know this is going to happen. Because
Yeah.
Russell has done it. I remember someone like I think it was. I think who else has done? I mean, a lot of people have. Mahendra Singh
Dhoni.
Dhoni. I
He
remember.
does it almost every season, Abel.
Yeah, Russell had done it so many times. So this was like a deja vu for me, and I'm like, this is the only reason why. This is the sole reason why I didn't want IPL coming back to Bangalore.
I
I
think you'll
don't
have a
mind
lot more memories after 26th, I guess. Once
Is it
Russell
time
comes into
for RCB to
Chinnaswamy.
2016. I'd say we lost. I mean, we could have chased it down as well, but we lost that final because of that one over from Watson where you gave away 19, and that's one thing again. Smaller boundary. I remember Ben cutting, clearing it by like just by like inches, and that was the
No,
ultimate difference. 7 runs
I
was the difference.
still believe April 2016, you guys really messed up your batting. You guys were on route. I was
I
supporting
mean,
RCB
what
that
can I
year
say? I mean,
because CSK was
on
banned for
days
the
when
first time.
when when things go well in Chennai, it does go well.
Yeah.
But since 2016, 2017, they changed the ground completely. So the ball wasn't really coming well. You saw pitch keeping very low in 2017. From
Hmm.
2019 onwards, again they leveled it. Now it's again a road. It's like a nightmare, right? It's like what do I say? It's like a bull ring, right? It's like this place where
Yeah.
you're having
Yeah.
constant battle and ballers are the victim over there.
And
And the bulls are
RCB being
the
red, every bull that comes to the ground sees red. And
absolutely. I mean, it's really
And
hard.
I would totally agree with Kapil Verma over there that these type of matches create excitement. And I was very happy with everything, the outcome, the fantasy aspect of it, everything. Just apart from the end result, I felt if Harshal Patel would have got that run out in that last delivery, the expressions and the drama that we have got from
oh,
Gautam Gambhir,
I
I was
genuinely
hoping for
thought,
that. I was just hoping for the drama
I
between Gautam Gambhir and
genuinely thought
RCB.
I'm
it's
not
They
gonna
would have
think
so
won.
about it, man. It would have been insane game of cricket. It would have been 2 days,
yeah.
two insane
Oh
finishes.
god.
But I mean, look at that, right? You had
No, because
everything. You had a
it's,
hit
it's
wicket.
it's
You
happened
had a run
before.
out.
If you
You
guys
had everything.
remember, if you guys have caught this, it's a very, I don't think many people know this, but there was an under 19 World Cup game between Zimbabwe and West Indies. And
Yeah, yeah.
one of the players, I think Alzari Joseph played in that team. I'm not even sure if this is Alzari
No,
Joseph who
this
did
was
it.
in 2018. It
I
was
think it was.
after.
Oh, I think it was. Oh, the player is right on my name, right in my lips. I'll probably go back and I'll talk about this. But there was this one player who still plays at senior level, not IPL, but he plays in franchise cricket level. He caused a run out of the last batsman, and the game completely changed for Zimbabwe. It was a huge uproar that year. Englishmen going against it all over the place. But yeah, it would
I
have
mean,
been
you
that
can't say
sort of
anything. I
a
mean, these people, I don't care what spirit of the cricket. If you're starting to run, regardless of what situation the game is, I don't know why Harshal Patel thought only then because I even saw Ayush Badoni do it a couple of times. I mean, you should be ready to do it at any point.
No, but
Not just
Abel, the
coming to the
thing
last
is
ball.
okay,
when
guys.
28,
It
27 are
was
needed of 3 overs
it
or 4 overs.
was
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm just
I'm so
getting into
sorry,
the
Advani,
point.
yeah. I'm so sorry.
I
I'll just say this and I'll let you go ahead. It was West Indies under 19 team versus Zimbabwe under 19 team, and it was Chemo Paul in Chittagong. It was Chemo Paul. He still plays though. It was Chemo Paul. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
but I
ahead.
think Kimo Paul has just flown off the radar for West Indies as well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I was just saying that the thing with the mindset is if 28 is needed of 3 overs or 3.5 overs, you are less intended to think of what the non-striker is going to do. You are more focused on what you are supposed to do to the batter. But when one run
Hmm.
is needed of one ball or two balls, the this factor plays into. So I was calling it. I was calling it even before Harshal Patel was bowling the last ball. I knew that he should try it, and he did
Hmm.
because Ravi Vishnu has this tendency of running, not just in today's game. And you saw the excitement that both Ravi Vishnu and Avesh Khan had after doing absolutely nothing in today's game. Ravi Vishnu and Avesh Khan were taken to the cleaners when they were bowling. Batting did not. Okay, Ravi Vishnu 3 runs of 2 balls. Avesh Khan missed that low
Let me
full
just
toss
see.
or
Dale
yorker.
Steyn Street.
But
I mean,
that yeah, I mean it was
Satyamani, you
something.
tell me this. Would you have done it or not? What is the right way
I
to
would
go
have.
about it?
I would have definitely done it. And
Me
then not
too.
just with
Me
one
too.
ball left. I mean, when one run was needed of two balls, instead of bowling to Unadkat, I would have first run Bishnoi out.
I don't think
I'll I'll
Wilson
be
need
honest,
to.
guys. I am an Ashwin fan, and I love run out on the leg side. Like I am a huge supporter of it. I know many people will not like it, or some people don't at least.
I mean,
It's
just
completely
tell you one
divided,
thing,
but
right? I'll tell you
it is
one
the
thing.
rules. Remove the rule otherwise.
What is
Yeah,
karma all about?
absolutely.
I don't really understand what is he talking about karma. About what? Trying to get a person run out? I mean, let me tell you two things, right? These people are so weird. I mean, what is the whole point? When Harmanpreet Kaur did that, no, I think it was who was the bowler who did that
Dipti Sharma.
for India?
Deepti
Deepti
Sharma.
Sharma, was it? Yeah. When
Yeah.
Deepti Sharma did it, it was like India did something really wrong, cheating. Come on, dude, it's there in the rule book to do that, and if you're allowed to do it, do it. I mean, what you are doing is cheating, right? Then if a
I
bowler balls
was
no ball, it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be called a no ball. It is also fair. You're just stepping by what minute. You're starting to run, especially you're using the undue advantage of the crease. I mean, you're
Correct.
running from what 20 to 19 yards. Then that is what is unfair. You are the run out.
Or
The
else,
striker is
if it
doing the unfair.
really does, I mean, if it really is an issue, one thing, otherwise, what ICC should really do is come up with a rule where if it's not out, then you give penalty points for a batter for leaving the route. Like for instance, you have a free hit, right? In when a
exactly.
bowler balls no ball,
Yeah.
you try and get something like a free hit where the batter has to, the batter, the non-striker, has when he comes on
I
crease,
don't think
one
that
free
is
hit
not
at the
the way.
stumps,
A wicket is the right way to go because that is the highest
or
penalty for a
five
batter.
penalty ways.
I don't
Yeah,
care. The five penalty can be covered in one ball, Jared. I mean, that is not the right way to go.
fair
What
enough.
I'm talking about is if it's a wicket, it's a wicket. That's as per the rules of the
And
game.
and also I
What are
was
you?
really disappointed with Ashwin that he did not run out Dhawan, because at this point it is very difficult to get Dhawan out. So he might as well got him out with
No, no,
run
that
out with
was
more
not
seconds
for
than that.
Dhawan. Actually, that's not what happened there. Umpire pulled him back. So that's what happened there. It was not
Yeah.
Ashwin trying to run him out. And but today, yeah, it's just hits and misses. I don't think anybody has anything to blame. I'm talking about Simon Dole. I think Simon Dole should talk about strike rate when Kane Williamson is batting because he calls Kane Williamson a class player who had a strike rate of 90 in last season's IPL. So I think he should keep quiet. I've seen Simon Dole do it for way too long now.
I
He
mean, that
points
is
at
just
Babar Azam,
Ramiz
Virat
Raza
Kohli.
talking about Babar Azam being the greatest player on earth.
Exactly, this is how it is because he didn't mention Kane Williamson is class apart to hold. That is what he needed in T20 cricket. That glue who can bat at a 120 strike rate. It's okay if you can't play spin, but when it comes to Babar Azam or Virat Kohli, he goes mad. He talks about like he speaks as if he's Owen Morgan, but that's what is weird. And if Owen Morgan speaks, I can understand because he has dropped multiple players off his team because of low strike rate.
He's dropped Dale. I mean, he's dropped
He's
Joe
dropped
Root.
himself. He retired himself so
He's
that
dropped
people
himself.
can go on to. So
Yeah.
that's what the whole point. If someone of that caliber is talking, yes. But then if Simon Dole,
So,
if he's taking Kane Williamson's
I would
side,
like to say just an update. Dale Steyn has deleted the tweet, and that's the reason why I tried to find the original one. I
yeah, he's
couldn't find
deleted
it.
the tweet as well
Yeah.
because he got enough from all the Indian fan base because what is he talking about? Come on, man. You would think if tomorrow Bhuvneshwar Kumar is doing that in the last over, he would not have supported that. He would have been like, do it. If Sunrisers Hyderabad were in that similar position, anybody would
Yeah.
have done it as well. So those are things which you need to consider. But ultimately, it comes down to that very point, right? Because see, if it was 8 wickets down, you would have said, okay, it's still no point. But it was the last wicket. If that would have been out, it was game done. I mean, it
Hmm.
was a super over for like Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a few questions. I think we've been waiting on them for so long. We don't have much time as well. So quickly, then I think we covered Virat Kohli post his 40. Yeah, let's talk about KL Rahul and Deepak Huda then. And there's also a comment about how KL Rahul and Deepak Huda, better batsman probably was Jaydev Urarkar. And I completely agree. The dude came and he was timing everything from the middle of his bat, except for that one ball. I think he was a better bat. I would really be open to sending him at number three. And they've almost sent everyone, so it's time for maybe Jaydev Urarkar. The next Sam Curran.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
think
reckon for him?
I think not just Jaydev Unadkat. I feel that both Deepak Huda and KL Rahul in particular, is in the worst form of his life
That
right
was
now,
a
because
horrible innings.
you can't have a player who is so successful at the IPL specifically. If you consider KL Rahul in all the other formats, everything, leave it aside, IPL is his go-to format because he gets the get opening slot. He gets to play at a strike rate of 110, 120 at the start. Exactly how he loves it. He had Chinnaswamy, his home ground. He had
Yeah.
Bangalore as his opponent, his favorite, the team against whom he has scored his highest runs in highest individual score in T20 cricket. So everything was in his favor, and still he went at a strike rate chasing 212 of 110.
And
One might
it's
argue
not even about
against you
anyone
were
playing
losing
well.
wickets at the other end, but you did
Yeah.
not do anything to
Correct.
sort of calm down, like or release the pressure from one end so that they did not have to do that from the other end. And I will say, okay, Wayne Parnell coming back to the side, picking up 2 wickets, but I will say he did not really bowl really well. I mean, it was
Hmm.
nothing out of the blue. It was ordinary bowling, and I think it was some pretty careless and pretty mediocre batting at the start. Once Marcus Stoinis came in and then started counter-attacking, only then Lucknow Super Giants looked as if they had a chance to sort
Hmm.
of take the game away. Other than that, they were just playing for, I don't know what they were playing for in the first 10 overs. Because even if you had 70, 80 runs without losing any wickets, who was going to come down and chase 145 of 10 overs? If KL Rahul, I don't think after that eliminator against RCB itself last year, he had the guts to sort of continue at a strike rate of 110, 120 till the 15th over. I think Gautam
I
Gambhir
think
would have
guys, we are
substituted him.
forgetting one thing. If Marcus Stoinis' catch would have been caught when he was on zero, it would have been a different game altogether as well. So I know it was
Yeah.
a tough catch, but I mean, I just had a bad feeling when he dropped that because you don't drop Marcus Stoinis because he is someone who will come to haunt you at some stage, and that is the ultimate difference. These smallest things makes a lot of difference, and
Yeah,
especially when
but in
Nicholas
my
Puran
mind,
has
I had already dropped Marcus Stoinis from the lineup. If Quinton de Kock was fit, Marcus Stoinis was not in my lineup.
I mean,
But
right now I
right
think
now, I
Marcus Stoinis
think,
will get that nod.
yeah, obviously. I mean, now it's Kyle Myers once again after two failures.
Yeah. I just saw a picture. I think I'll put that up, and it's a very funny picture. I mean, as an RCB fan, I'll just take a. It's Tottenham Hotspur jersey with RCB, and someone said "Rabne bana di Jodi" because it
Jody,
kind of
be
makes
very
sense.
careful with it.
Because I mean, I'm not a Spurs fan for that. For some God's grace, I'm not Spurs fan, but then
Do
they
you
would
reckon
choke a.
Mike Hessen is going to have a press conference like Antonio Conte? It's easy here. We don't play for anything.
I mean, to be honest, it's tough, man. Being playing for
No, I
RCB, I
think
was just listening to
I'll be
RCB. I was
honest,
just
guys.
But
listening
I'll
to
be very
Virat Kohli's
but
honest.
Abel, I
interview the
have a
other day.
And
question for
this
you.
is me, a CSK fan, saying this. I genuinely believe RCB. It's not that RCB doesn't have an issue with attitude, right? They have the best attitude, one of the best attitudes when it comes to IPL every year. And I think when you have Virat Kohli in your team, you cannot be any short of that. There have been a lot of things, a lot of factors in there, but I would also say there's been a lot of unluck as well. I mean, unluckiness as well. 2016, I genuinely believed it was RCB's year. It's also because I was supporting them that year.
I mean,
I
to
think
be
we can
very
just get
fair,
away from 2016. I think it's
I
seven
mean,
years
Sanjay, you
back.
were
But
asking something.
I just had one question for you. That after 2 points in this game, a huge net run rate in the last game, do you think these 2 points and the net run rate are going to hurt RCB and their
I
chances of getting
genuinely
into the
think
playoffs?
net run rate might, but these are the points which you are supposed to grab at the end of the day. Last year, what RCB did was to grab these points which happened. I remember RCB defending 170, 180 last year. And that's also primarily because when you have a Hazelwood and Hasaranga, Hazelwood picking up wickets up front and closing it in the death, alongside Hasaranga in the middle overs, a lot of your bowling gets covered up. And you're talking about a season where Siraj was going for 11 runs per over as well. Now you have a Siraj on top of his game. Today he bowled outstandingly well in a game
Yeah.
where everybody traveled 3 wickets for 22 runs in 4 overs. That's worth its weight
But
in
that is
scoring
a
a hundred.
comeback. Abel, that is a comeback for Siraj because the other two games he went for plenty. So
I
he's
mean, you
also
can say
making
the
a
first game he
part
bowled
of
really
comeback.
well. First game also he bowled very well. I mean, towards the latter end in Chinnaswamy, you will go for runs. I mean, you should be ready to take it, and that's something. I think the bar for Chinnaswamy for a good run rate of a ball should be 10 and thereabouts. Anything next of 12 is high in Chinnaswamy. We're talking about
Yeah.
48, 50 runs per in your 4 overs. That could be high. But for me, what I'd set a bar for any good fast ball or spinner in Chinnaswamy is 10 runs per over. If you can give me 10
Hmm.
runs per over, 40 runs in 4 overs, I'll take it. If Siraj can pick me 2 wickets and give me 40 runs in every over in Chinnaswamy, I'm talking not about any other ground. In Chinnaswamy, I'll take it because that's how hard it is to bowl in Chinnaswamy. So
Yeah.
that is what I'm talking about, right? Siraj has bowled really well. Even in the last game, I thought he was a little unlucky. He went for a little bit of runs towards the latter end. But Siraj has been in good rhythm. That's one factor. When Siraj runs in and balls, you know this guy is looking in good rhythm. And that's the Siraj which you have seen with Team India in test matches as well. So that is a big up. Now when Josh Hazelwood will come back to this team, I think that's going to be next week against Chennai Super Kings. That's where he's going to be coming back.
But again, I have
Hassan
two more. I just have one more question. That
yeah.
in this game, in the last game, you had a problem with the death overs bowling. In this game, you had a problem with the middle overs bowling. That fifth bowling option,
I
the
don't
spinner
think
really
last
going
game
on
also
for
it
us.
was a middle overs bowling once again. Because if you
Yeah,
look
okay,
when
from middle overs
Arsenal let
itself,
go
yeah.
of the game, it was a middle overs once again. So last two games, and even the
But
game
can
against
you
Mumbai,
actually blame a Karan Sharma who actually went on to
I
pick two
wouldn't
wickets and gave you
blame
that
a Karan
momentum at the
Sharma.
start?
I wouldn't blame a Karan Sharma Sandeep because if you look at the last three games, Mumbai also scored 170 from after being 70 odd in 13 overs. So that was again the middle overs phase where you let Mumbai off the cliff. And in KKR's game as well, you let someone like a Shardul Thakur to dominate. Shardul Thakur struggles immensely against leg spin, especially the balls coming in. He can't read a googly, right? And you
Yeah.
talk about today's game as well. Nicholas Poolen's biggest weakness has been reading googly over the years wherever he has gone and played. So that is where I personally feel if you would have had someone like a Hasaranga to control the middle overs, which you did so well in the last year's IPL, where Hasaranga picked up 28 wickets, and then you had Harshal Patel bowling with Hasaranga. What Harshal Patel got wickets last year was what the pressure Hasaranga applied. Hasaranga used to apply pressure from one end, and batters used to try to go after Harshal Patel. They used to miss time, and where Harshal Patel used to get wickets. So you need one end tight, and you other bowlers can also benefit out of it. So what RCB needs to do, Wayne Parnell is still a benefit. I think Wayne Parnell did a very good job bowling up front. He brings a lot of experience. You've not yet. It was very hard to bowl towards the latter end. I mean, he bowled 40 or 40, even for 40 in 4 overs, picked up 3 wickets. I would have taken it as well. So for me, the only thing is, even if George Hazelwood comes, he's not going to be completely fit. So I will go on with Wayne Parnell, but I'll have Hasaranga instead of David Willey going ahead. And maybe use Harshal Patel in a better way. Make him ball to plans. Let's see how it works.
Fair enough. And I also
You're
think
on mute.
the
Generally, you're on
yeah,
mute.
Jerry is on mute. And I also think Harshal Patel in the last few years where he was very successful was bowling his first overs right after the power play. He had that spell of 1 or 2 overs right after the
Yeah.
power play. But in this season and also sometimes in the last season as well, you could see that the FAF holds Harshal Patel back for especially for the death overs. So he does not even have that 1 over right after the power play.
Yeah.
He comes in after the ninth or 10th over when it is too late. I mean, if Harshal Patel has a bad day, RCB are going to have a bad day towards
Yeah.
the later half of the game.
Yeah.
So I think you can still go ahead and give Harshal Patel 1 over at least at the top, right after the
Absolutely.
power play or within the power play itself.
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much it from today's match. We're almost out of time as well. Probably we're even running a little late, but Sandeep, tomorrow, two teams, Delhi and Mumbai, are facing off. Two teams fighting for the wooden spoon at this point in time. One team will
The
definitely
good
be
part is
stuck.
someone is going to get a win tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, I think both of them, Mumbai is 1-1, right? Or
No,
haven't
no,
they
No,
no.
no, no.
haven't also.
And,
Yeah,
and
both of
they
them are
don't
on a
even, and
dark.
both the teams have not even looked close to winning any games.
Yeah,
They
and I think
have looked completely off. Yeah.
tomorrow's match is going to be in Delhi, so it's going to be interesting how the pitch is going to be because last time it was a very spicy one, and both the especially Delhi didn't look like they knew the kind of spice it's going to be on. Now, how do you look at tomorrow's match, right? How does it go in your opinion tomorrow?
See, honestly, if I am in either of the coaching staff or the mentorship team management team, I wouldn't change too many things in that lineup. Which I saw Mumbai Indians do after that first game's loss. They came in with a completely different plan. Christian Stubbs walked in. They had a completely different approach towards that second game, which I did not really like. I felt that okay, you tried something, it did not come off. It was the first game. You could have still persisted or probably given them another go. Like a Nehal Vadera had a great debut, did not get a chance in that second encounter. I did not know why. So you have to sort of, I think you have to sort of build a plan and then stick to that plan, and then give it a give opportunities to the youngsters or the players who look to be in good form. And right now, all the foreign stars or the all hype players, Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav, look to be in no form. From the other side, you had Mitchell Marsh who was unavailable. I don't know whether he'll be available tomorrow or not, but I don't think so. He'll be available tomorrow as well. But other than that, Rogman Powell, Riley Russo hasn't really looked at the best. Warner has looked at his worst. I think Warner is playing KL Rahul. Like KL Rahul is struggling for Lucknow at the top. I think Warner is actually struggling for Delhi Capitals at the top. Even though he has scores of 56, 39 and some 65 or 66 odd runs in the 3 games. But the ways in which he got it, and the momentum of that innings was completely taken off by David Warner in that innings. And you had none of the batters coming in for Delhi Capitals and doing the job for them with a team that is so top order heavy. You have the likes of Prithvi Shaw, you have so many foreign batters as well. Riley Russo can just come in and
Yeah.
then toying the ball, and still you had no impact. So I think Delhi Capitals will have to work on that. From Mumbai Indians point of view, you have that one shining spot in the form of Tilak Verma, but you will need your Surya Kumar Yadavs, you will need your Ishan Kishans to sort of start rolling for you, and that 18.5 crore player you need. Oh, sorry, 17.5 crore player. You need Cameron Green to sort of have an impact. Okay, I understand that Wankhede he's not going to have an impact in any of the games. Probably one
Yeah.
of 14 or two of 14. But Delhi, if there is some spice in that pitch as well, I think he can sort of come in and take the attack on the Delhi Capitals bowlers who are not really confident right now, because you see a Mukesh Kumar struggling in one game, performing in one game. You have a Khalil Ahmed performing in one game, struggling in the other. So the Indian pacers does not look really well. You have the option of getting in a Kamlesh Nagarkoti or a Chetan Sakaria. I
Yeah.
would prefer a Chetan Sakaria. Abel would prefer a Kamlesh Nagarkoti. But
I
no
mean,
matter
tomorrow
what, you
I'll go
need
for
to.
a Chetan Sakaria as well because I think some of the Mumbai batters does tend to struggle against change of pace, and that's something which I've noticed. It's just a matchup
Also,
call.
his
It's just a
left hand
matchup call.
angle, I think his left hand angle against Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma,
Yes,
not a
yes,
bad
but
game.
another factor as well.
Yeah.
His left arm angle does tend to play well against Mumbai Indians, and good left arm paces often have excelled against Mumbai Indians as well.
I like
So
how you called
that
him a
is
good
one
left arm
factor.
pacer. Thank you, Abel. Thank you for justifying
I
what
mean,
you can
only
say.
for
Not
that
against
reason.
him.
I am not totally against Chetan Sakaria. You have to be taking these calls based on matchups. But I still think Mumbai have the upper hand going into tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
They still have more than
No.
edge when it comes to individual match winners. I still think Surya Kumar Yadav having a good day can win you a match. Rohit Sharma having a good day can win you a match. Jofra Archer, I'm really hoping that he is fit and is raring to go. If that happens, then Delhi can be put under trouble. David Warner versus Jofra Archer, we've seen the matchup previously as well. David Warner struggles immensely against Jofra Archer. You get David Warner first up, then you're going to be against the Indian
But
middle
how
order.
does Mumbai Indians pick wickets? Because so far they have only managed to pick 3 wickets in two
I
games
think
and gone
Sanibali,
in
how
excess
they
of
pick up
300.
wickets is by Delhi Capitals batters batting like they have
I
so
mean,
far.
yes, but to be
Uh,
very honest, I think Delhi Capitals batters are the best opportunity for them to pick up wickets.
yeah.
And for Delhi Capitals, they'll be also hoping now that they kind of play an aggressive brand of cricket. Now they have nothing to lose, to be honest. But the biggest issue for Delhi Capitals is going to be how they're going to come up against a Behrendorff and a Jofra Archer if they're going to be opening the bowling. And with how Prithvi Shaw and David Warner has looked so far, it's going to be tough. But it's going to be again upon someone like a Riley Russo or a Ravman Paul to save the ship. If they are also unable to do it, then
Sarfaraz
it's going
Khan
to
or
be
Abhishek Porel, whom do you prefer for tomorrow?
Sarfraz Khan, slightly so. But then Sarfraz Khan has not really given me those, he's not really given me
Excitement.
interest in like, oh wow, come take a look at me. I will have a Yash Dul tomorrow ahead of a Manish Pandey. Yashdul is way too good a player to be sitting on the bench. He's not got a single game in last 2 years. That's what makes me
Yeah.
wonder what on earth you're played Abhishek Porel there. Okay, understandable, a wicket keeping option. But can you tell me any reason why Yashdul should be sitting on that bench for the team? If you don't want Yashdul, trade him off to other teams. There are plenty of teams across the IPL who need someone like a Yashdul. I think classic example KKR, for example, would need someone
KKR.
like Yashdul
Yeah.
this season.
Correct.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? If you don't need a player like Yashdul, then trade him off. What's the whole point if you're keeping him on the bench?
But
No,
isn't it also able? I mean, this might sound very anti-cricket, and I don't
yeah.
support it. But isn't it also this thing, right, where you've seen this in football, for instance. You don't want to give a player away who's a direct competition. Now, if it was a case where if you could trade Yashdul to an Adelaide striker, where you would
I
never face him,
really hope
fair enough. But
transfer window
you're going to
starts
face
in
him
IPL going ahead
twice.
for this reason, Jaren. There's a reason why I'm saying this. Once player can go and submit the transfer request that I want to move out of the club, then the agent of the player or whoever it is can search for a
Yeah,
new
yeah,
franchise. And I think the future is not auction, the future is transfers because you see a lot of teams crumble because of auctions. Prime example is Mumbai Indians. Mumbai
correct.
Indians
Yeah.
crumbled upon for whatever good work
And I
they did over
think,
the last 5 years.
yeah, I think it's not even right. I mean, I understand why the auction existed in the first 10 years or so. You
Yeah,
needed
yeah,
to build brand, you needed to build some
yeah,
excitement. But the
yeah.
excitement is here. And I believe, especially a team like Mumbai Indians, because they've such a good scouting, what is the system, and the reason why you scout, I mean, in IPL scouting system sometimes can go against you as well. You
Yeah,
scout a player, you give him the development, you give him the skills, and then
yeah.
he's brought by Gujarat Titans, makes you, and they make him the captain, and then he wins matches against you. That
So
hurts you
James,
as well, isn't it?
there are two ways to look into this, right? Especially when talking about talents, we're talking about how talents can be utilized in IPL. Now we're
Yeah,
talking about talents who are sitting on the bench, and when your team is not doing well. When your team is not doing well, what gives you a reason to bench a particular talent? So, for example, Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians, you can say whenever they used to do well, they don't usually used to go to youngsters because their team is doing well. You have no complaints as a fan. You have no complaints as a spectator. As a stakeholder as well, you're like, okay, fine, it's their team is doing well. I don't want to see someone else come into the team and destroy the balance of the team. But now you're talking about a team who's struggling to pick up 1 point, and that is the situation. That's the status quo with Delhi Capitals at this point. And that's why I personally feel someone like a Yasdul can do them a world of good. You're talking about an India under 19 winning captain. He should be the next big thing. He scored plenty of runs in Ranji Trophy. You have asked him to open the batting. He went and did that for Delhi. He scored a double hundred, scores runs for fun for Delhi. And you're talking about a player who's in form. He's got a game even in limited overs format. He bats at a strike rate close to 110, 115 in a 50 over game. So you're talking about that kind of a talent who's sitting on the bench. I'm very sorry to say, but that is just destroying talent. That's plainly destroying talent. I mean, I used to
yeah.
love Delhi Capitals under Rahul Dravid because they had this particular motto where they used to give chances to these youngsters. Prithvi
That was
Shaw
a good
came about like
team.
that. Rishabh Pant came about like that. Shreyas Iyer really stepped up that. Mayank Agarwal
Abhishek
and Sanju
Sharma as well.
Samson.
I mean, you can
Sanju
only realize
Samson.
a player's talent only if you give them opportunities,
I
right? That
think
is what
that's
I
where
have
we
the
give
problem.
credit to Rahul
Shreyas Iyer
Dravid.
is the
Not,
biggest example to it. Shreyas Iyer won the emerging player playing for Delhi Capitals in 2015, right
you
after the
guys
under 19
remember
World Cup
the
season.
likes of Sanju Samson or even Ajinkya Rahane? I know Rahul Dravid wasn't the coach,
Exactly.
but he still was instrumental in their growth.
Absolutely, and that's Delhi Capitals used to have this agenda of giving youngsters a chance. I remember in 2017 they had Mayank Agarwal, Sanju Samson, Karun Nair,
Yeah,
Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant. You're talking about the Indian domestic
that
batsmen all
was
went
a
down.
middle order.
And that is exactly why I want Rahul Dravid to get back to coaching the Indian under 19 teams and the Indian India A teams, because he's very good at that. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's very good at that. There's no denying
he's
that.
not
He
really
is.
good at managing players who are already stars. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that is where
Yeah.
Ravi Shastri was way better than Rahul Dravid is. But
I
talk
need
Hmm.
Team
about
India
scouting
units
talents,
and
I think.
killer instinct as well.
But I think we've
Yeah.
really overshot our time now. We've spoken about a lot of things. We have to end the live. So thank you guys for joining us, and both Abel and Sandipani and everyone else in the comment section as well. It was a great match. It's a very exciting one. And what is IPL going to throw in our faces tomorrow? We've had a hat trick. We've had what is it, 5 6 over. We've had a 99 which held the team together.
Let me tell you
We've
one thing:
also
Gautam
had
Gambhir is a phenomenal character to watch. I'll watch Gautam Gambhir the character, and in Chinnaswamy, he's got a bad history, and karma already struck back against him. I mean, let's all be very honest. He's an aggressive guy, man. Let's just leave him there.
I
I
think
mean,
he's the kind of guy who is
I
at
like
his
the
best
aggression
when
what
he's
he
good at
does. I
balls.
love the
That's how
aggression
he
what he
is.
does. That's what brings the
Yeah,
best out of him.
yeah,
Phenomenal
exactly.
captain because of the aggression. I love Virat Kohli personally, so I don't mind what Gautam Gambhir is doing. If it was Virat Kohli, he would have done the same as well. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind it. I mean, that is the fun part about it.
I
Now, you know
love
what?
Gautam Gambhir as a character. I just love
I
Gautam
love the
Gambhir. Not
character
just
of
because
Gautam Gambhir.
not just because he won us two IPL trophies, but also because he won us a World Cup final as well. And
Exactly,
he thinks
he's a
so. He
phenomenal
thinks
character.
so.
He's a phenomenal character, bad commentator and an analyst. That's what I would say. But he's a phenomenal character. I love him as a coach as well. He's very bold, excellent captain. He should have been the next Indian captain even before Virat Kohli if he would have had the longer run. I thought he would have made a great test captain in my opinion. But yeah, those are things for another day.
And I
Yeah, but
honestly
then
feel that KL Rahul is dead scared of him as well. So I
Yeah,
felt that he
they,
got
KL
out at the
Rahul,
right time today.
KL Rahul is surviving right now. Is just surviving. If today they would have
no, I
lost,
think even if you are talking about KL Rahul, you're just fishing for masala at this point in time, and we have to end the live. So
I mean, yeah,
we cannot tolerate this. And
we're gonna
thank you
wait.
guys for
I
joining
think I'll
us.
just leave it here.
I had
If you have
closed the
20 in a
live. I
winning
had
toss, that's the best innings of KL Rahul so far.
Abel. Don't look for masala. Abel, don't look for masala. this is not what you're here to do. Don't look for masala. As an ex-player, you shouldn't do that. So